Father God, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather and to unite for learning and fellowship. The enrichment of our community and doing your work, making this a better place for our students and the community as a whole. You are the highest and mighty King who sets the standard for all of us. And Lord, we ask you to instill in us the guidance, the wisdom, and the strength to make the changes we need to make for the betterment of this community. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. In attendance tonight, myself as chair, Mr. Harding, vice chair, and Dr. Trahan, member. Also in attendance, Mr. Hamner, Ms. Benoit, Mr. D. Hart, yep, and the superintendent and members of his staff. Number 3, consideration of approval for use of Terrebonne High School track. Mr. Thibodeau, would you like to? I'm going to read it, and if you want to address this, you can, but you can come on up. The committee recommends that the board approve the request of UDP Track Club to waive policy file E1.6, use of facilities relative to the usage fee for Terrebonne High School's track for the 23-24 track season, November 8, 2023 to November 8, 2024, for practices only on weekdays, provided that the necessary insurance, nonprofit status, and all other school board policy requirements are met, and approval is obtained from the school's principal.
So moved.
So moved, Dr. Trahan, second myself. Here we have Mr. Ron Thibodeau.
Yes.
Yes, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. How about
Okay,
yourself?
we're doing great. Would you like to?
Yes, I just like to give the opportunity to thank you for allowing me to use the track. I think it's my 6th year, and it's been very beneficial to the kids. Also, the kids who go to school, they come back and work with us, and I appreciate the opportunity to use the facilities.
Yes, sir. Yes. Dr. Trahan, anything?
No, sir.
Okay. We appreciate what you do for the kids and the community. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Any other board members?
Keep growing those kids, Coach.
Thank
you.
Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Number 4, consideration of approval of bid received for the building repairs project at South Terrebonne High School. Mr. Lerat, if you come up, because I do have a couple of questions here. I'm not sure if the rest do. And board members, we do have at your seat. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
That the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at South Terrebonne High School from Thompson Construction Company, LLC, P.O. Box 187, Thibodaux, Louisiana, 70302, in the amount of $22,277,500. Accept alternative number 1 to replace main electrical transformer in the amount of $530,000. Alternative number 2 to replace 4-inch main water line in the amount of $34,000. And alternative number 3 to grind, polish, and stain concrete floors in lieu of vinyl flooring in in the amount of, negative 20, that's what I want you to explain in a second. Negative $20,000 of jump lines. And establish a total project budget in the amount of $24,793,351. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $21,806,416, and local funds, $2,986,935. Pending receipt of all necessary documents, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So move Mr. Harding, second Dr. Trahan, and Mr. Lerat.
Oh, Mr. Harding. I thought you said LaGorde.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I think I said Mr. Harding, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Lerat, yeah, I was a little confused with that 20,000 minus 20, so if you want to explain to everybody what that is exactly,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Well, let me go through. I'll start from the beginning if you want
Yes,
me
sir.
to. We had we had a mandatory pre-bid conference for the project since it was such an involved project. We had 11 general contractors that actually showed up. Out of those 11, we had 3 that turned in bids, Thompson Construction, Group Contractors, and Cotton Construction, Cotton Commercial it's actually called. Thompson's range was 22.2, Group Contracts was 24.4, and Cotton Commercial was 26.9. Alternate number 1 is the transformer, the electrical transformer in the, what they call the vault in between the main building and the weight program building is a little small. It's like 25 by 30. It has all the old electrical equipment from originally when it was there. There was a study done back in 2017 by a previous electrical engineer that recommended it being changed out at the time. That's 6 years ago, 7 years ago. We looked at it with all this work going on. The transformers were original back from 1960 or 62. So they're the oldest style. What appears to be, if they go, is what I'm being told, if they go, it can create an explosion, cause a fire, and things of that sort. So we looked into that, of changing that out, putting the right switch gear, things of that sort. And the electrical subcontractor worked with Energy on that to get that process started, and this is the price that came up from our standpoint, okay? Energy's gonna have some expense in there also, that they're gonna put some money into it to change out the transformers. Alternate number 2, the main water line coming from the highway to the building, I'm not sure how long it's been there, but when they tied in the modulars, they put a 4-inch water line, there's a 6-inch water line coming from the highway right there to the meter. From the meter is a 4-inch, so they turned the 4-inch meter, a 4-inch line parallel with the driveway, then tied in all the new modulars. The 4-inch water line going underneath the driveway to the main location in the mechanical room of the existing building was in dire straits. We have pictures and photographs of when they did that initial work. So we took an alternate to see what it would cost to put a new 4-inch water line underneath the driveway and come up in the main room with a PE pipe. The old pipe was cast on, it was all rusted and things like that. It could go at any minute, okay? And then alternate number 3, we specified vinyl flooring that was originally in the job. I was asked to take a look at it by the head custodian of all people, to see if we could have what it would cost to do the polished concrete. So we didn't have anything else for an alternate, so we put in as alternate number 3 to see what it would be, anticipating probably a little bit more, but 2 of the bids came in with a negative $20,000. The third contractor, Cotton, I don't know where they came from, but they actually wanted $946,000 more to do it. So I think we're very fortunate, that we have that. I mean, so it's an option. We're going to look at it. We accepted it. We recommended accepting it tonight. And I spoke with the contractor. He's going to bring his subcontractor in there to do a test pass to see, how it comes out. If it looks like it may not because of the glue and things like that before, then, we have an option to go back to the original vinyl flooring. So, but right now, we recommend that we accept it, look at it, and see how it does, things of that sort. So, Thompson Construction, as you would remember, he's actually doing the renovation on the gym right now. They did the baseball field on the school. So there'll be their third project on the site. They have all of the major subcontractors are local. Electrical, mechanical, roofing, painting, flooring. I mean, it's all, we have a slew of local contractors, subcontractors working on the job.
Very good, very good.
I'm kind of very excited about this one. So
Absolutely. Mr., now you got me wanting to say Mr. Lagarde. Mr. Harding? Dr. Brown?
Do we have a timeline on this yet?
it's a 565-day calendar period is what we have.
565?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What date was the bids open?
Today.
Today?
Yes.
Okay, so we definitely haven't had time to get pre-bid documents in, did we?
No, we haven't yet. No, we recommend that it be accepted based on the fact that we get these documents in before the full board meeting on the 7th, I believe, is the full board
Okay,
meeting.
we'll be in before the full board meeting.
Oh, I
All
promise,
right.
it'll be
And
in,
you will
yes, ma'am.
notify us if we have any issues with that?
Right.
All right, that's what was my
No,
concern, that's it.
we've never had an issue with Thompson turning those documents in, so.
Mr. Ford?
So I just want to, highlight the irony of the state requiring us to accept the lowest bid, but we want the best job done, right? thank goodness we have Thompson Construction on this job and they got the lowest bid, because I do have a lot of faith in them and I've seen the projects that they've worked on, so I'm excited about that. What I want to see is, and it's probably too soon to ask this question. Well, before I even ask the question, let me say I'm excited about the flooring. I made that suggestion about 2 years ago when it came to cleaning up the schools, just polishing the floors instead of putting vinyl down. But looking at this $22 million price for reconstruction of this building, refurbishment, whatever terminology you want to use, is this something we should anticipate for Ellender Memorial or even higher than that? Because this is considerably higher than the other ones.
I'm not involved with Eleanor, so I can't answer that question.
But I'm saying just the cost of construction as a general statement.
Well, I mean, I don't know the stat. I thought they were recommending that be torn down. I mean, only thing I know of recent on the high school was in the Lafayette area. I think it was, I forget what school it was. One of my friends told me about it a couple months ago. It bid at $419 per square foot is what that one. I don't know anything about the design or the materials or anything like that. I just know that project bid for $419 per square foot. So.
What's the square footage of South Terrebonne Road?
Roughly around 120. So yeah, so if you're talking about if we'd have rebuilt South Terrebonne at $400 a square foot times 120, you're talking about roughly $50 million.
If I remember correctly, South Down was right around $200 a square foot.
Yeah, right. It was a little bit over 200. I mean, things have gone up considerably since that
I
construction.
just
Yeah.
want the public to understand
Yeah,
that
right,
it's doubled.
right. So, and look, they had some other projects that have bid less than that. I think they had a project at Thibodeau, a middle school that was built, well, it's just recently opened, but I think it bid 2 years ago approximately, and I think it was in the $200-something range per square foot. So, I mean, it varies. Again, I have no idea what the materials were used in Lafayette. Just one of my buddies told me the square foot cost.
And the last thing is, the silver lining is we are going to have a brand new school for about $3 million. So after FEMA reimburses, of course.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I was a little confused there. Right.
That's a good point.
Yep. Thank you.
Mr. DeHart?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Merlin, that's good news. I'm sorry I had to step off for some of it, but I did hear the conversation going on. I'm very pleased with Thompson Construction all the years past. They do very reliable work, and I'm very impressed, but I'm also impressed on you for got the foot on the accelerator trying to get it done as quick as possible. That's important to me, but every project, I don't care who's the architect, we got to get it done as fast as possible, because guess what? The longer we wait, the more it's going to cost.
Right.
Because prices continue to go up and interest rates keep going up. So no matter what we're doing, thank you for what you're trying to do to get it done as quick as possible. So far, under your leadership as an architect on different projects, I got to say this, and it's not just to brag on you, is that every school came in under budget, on time. And that's what I like about our local architects, the whole group. So I'm hoping to have that, because I tell you what, I'm not saying we're going to run out of money, but whenever you got to pay 10% of what it is, no matter what FEMA does, we're going to have to get some revenues. So anything we can do to be cost saving and expedite getting it done, that way the price won't keep climbing, is what I'm saying. Because you're right about the $200 a square foot versus now $400 and something a square foot. The longer we wait, materials is not getting cheaper.
Yeah.
The economy's not getting cheaper.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Benoit?
Yeah, thank you. Just so that I understand it correctly, because there's so many numbers here.
Right.
We started off with the 22 million and change, and then because of all of the various problems that were discovered after, then it jumped up to the 24. Is that right?
No, the base bid that I estimated the original job was at 23,204,000. So we estimated the original base bid at 23.4 million when we
Okay.
did all of the FEMA estimates.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where the original base bid was at. So we're actually at roughly 600,000 underneath that amount.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out, because I was using all of these
Right,
numbers,
right,
subtracting from the 22
Yeah.
million and then getting
Right.
to 24. I'm like, I don't want.
Yeah, no, the original estimate was 23.4, and with the three alternates, we're at 22.8.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Hamner?
Yeah, now, you're the architect on this project.
Yes, sir.
Which project manager, Volkerts or?
HGI.
HG? Okay. And, and FEMA has already approved all of this, as far as the reimbursement, with the,
He shook his head.
the PWs and those things to?
Well, I don't handle the FEMA
That would
side
be an
of it.
Adam
so I'm-
Well, you have
question.
to,
Thanks, Adam.
Adam, can you come explain this? First, explain to me exactly what a PW is, and then where things stand on getting the PWs from FEMA for
So
this.
a PW is a project worksheet. So it's put together with all costs associated with a project, deciding the damages from the storm, and goes through multiple reviews with the state and the federal level, and then they approve a project worksheet for an amount, and then it's obligated, and then at that point, then you can draw down the request. Right now, we've submitted our request to FEMA. They're reviewing it right now. They haven't approved it. If we were waiting for approval, we're waiting another year from
So
now.
FEMA hasn't approved this?
They haven't
yet?
approved it, but they're reviewing it right now. They have reviewed the damages and they've gone through it, and we're in the process of just verifying everything and going through the process.
So would the committee be approving this tonight before FEMA? And just hoping that FEMA's gonna approve it, or have they approved it?
They have not approved it. They are reviewing it. You're
They're
going in, if we were waiting for approval, you're waiting for probably another year before work can be done. The approval process takes around a year, year and a half from receipt of final drawings and all for
And that-
everything.
That's where the PWs come in,
Yes.
the project work
Yes.
order.
So they submitted it, they come done a site inspection at the school, they're reviewing the damages, and it's in process right now. They haven't officially approved anything. But we've vetted everything for the past year and a half, verifying that the damages that the architect is calling out in the scope of work is in fact, damage from the storm, or it is a code upgrade that's required to a damaged element. So, that's where we are for
So-
that. But that's it for every school that we've done so far, has been the same process. FEMA has not approved any technically project besides Upper Little Caillou and Grand Caillou, because those are rebuilds.
So, okay. Any of the projects at all that we're doing here in Terrebonne have none of it has PWs yet?
No, they're all in review at FEMA currently.
So when would our project manager's role kick in?
Their role is over the architect and the construction side of the project. My side is the FEMA side and getting reimbursement from the work that they performed, and to making sure that the work that they are doing is eligible under FEMA scope. So they oversee the construction management side of that. Is that your question? Did I answer it? Any more?
That's all the knowledge I have, just to be
Okay.
able to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, the process is confusing, you know, because we're approving 24 million tonight, and FEMA hasn't approved giving it back to us, and that will take a year, but we don't want to waste a year. So it could cost us more than 24 million.
I mean, it wouldn't cost you more than 24 million, just reimbursement may be less
What-
than 24. So it wouldn't maybe
Cost us
cost you
more
the
than
true
3
2 million, it would maybe cost you a little bit more if they don't find some eligible scope, but they're not gonna say the whole project is not ineligible.
Right, right.
So it would be the 10% is the cost that it is, but we have faith, we've gone through these estimates for over a year, going through the scopes that they have called out in here and vetted it to submit to FEMA for damages.
Okay. Now, who's coordinating all this between the project manager and FEMA and the architect? And, you know,
I guess Becky and her department would be the one that is kind of overseeing it, so The process is the architect would submit to a project manager would submit to us, we would all do reviews at the same time, give an okay, and then that's the process, and then once everyone gets it okay, the architect goes out for bid.
We have somebody here with HG? Okay.
Curtis, yeah.
I don't know what I want to ask you, but I know I need to ask you a question. Your concurrence with all of this, as the project manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I guess that's it, all good enough.
I mean, in our role, as they were explaining, once we go to construction, is really kind of more, you guys may be familiar with quality control.
Yeah.
So his design,
Let me know.
along with what the parish is requiring from a code upgrade, we're there to facilitate and make sure that the general contractor who's on site is performing the work that's within the scope, because these schools obviously have portions of the building that we shouldn't touch, as well as they have active instruction going on. So we're managing that construction process, reporting back of any findings on a weekly basis, and then we're communicating and coordinating with the architect, because we have every 2 weeks a project progression meeting with the architect, as well as we have every 30 days a review of their pay app. So that gives us 2 different times across a period of a month to review both documents as well as construction and stored materials to see if we're all in agreement.
Now, you mentioned Mr. Lerat's design. Merlin, you've already designed the building and drawn it up, and, or to come up with these numbers, or
So,
does that come later, or?
The design for this is just repairing what was damaged from the storm. That's all
I
these
know,
elements are. So the design is going back what was there. So if there was a VCT tile, it's VCT tile, except we're doing this. They're going with gypsum board, ceiling tiles, anything that was lost, they're going back in kind. That's the only thing FEMA's gonna pay for. So we vetted that to make sure that what he's calling out was actually damaged by the storm, and that it is going back like in kind, unless it needs to be upgraded to meet wind lift, like a roof or anything on that. So his design is relatively similar to what the school was before. So that's what his design is. So it's just going back with what was there
Okay.
before. There can be no difference when you walk in, except maybe some furnishings will be different colors, et cetera. It's not gonna be changing the footprint or anything of that school.
We did prepare construction documents for that, along with my mechanical, electrical, and structural engineers, Mr. Hamlin, yeah. Especially, the specifications, just like a regular bid package, we'd be doing a brand-new project, but we had to do all the renovation work, and put the specs together, the documents and all that. So we did all of that in preparation to receive these bids, to give the contractor something to bid by. So it wasn't a new design, but like
Right.
Adam said, specifying what needed to be repaired and things of that sort, mechanically, electrically, structurally, cosmetically and things of that sort. Right, then we have a little bit of abatement, remediation and mold work, that has to be done too because of the building, with the mold in it, so that's part of the process too. The same thing we did with the gym, so. And I'm sure that the other architects are doing with similar projects, so.
So that I didn't get confused, were you done? Or, I know we're gonna,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
We approved this tonight. You said 565 days, but we can't start until FEMA says, boom.
No, you can start. So
Oh, we
this is
can.
similar to every other project that is repairing in kind, because you're not changing the footprint of a building, you're
Okay,
not
I
doing
got a little
anything like that.
confused there.
You're just going back with what was there, and that is a damaged element, the only things you're touching. You're not going to touch every single room, you're not getting a whole new thing. It's only portions that were damaged by the storm. The ones we are holding are the ones we're rebuilding, where FEMA has to have a review of the new design, making sure it's the same square footage, it's the same, meet any code, which is why Upper Little Caillou, Grand Caillou, and Ellender are further along, because they're all new schools. You're not gonna be able to go back, especially the ones in the floodplain, because you have to elevate them. So we're just going back with what was there. They can do the work because they're only going back with what was lost from the storm.
Gotcha, okay. Dr. Trahan?
Okay, Adam. You work, thank you to start off with, for all the tremendous work you do with FEMA. I don't know what we do without you. You're the foundation we all stand on these days. The monies that are not approved yet by FEMA, you said that they may not approve one part of it, but the other part of it, and the probability is high that most of it will be approved.
Most of it will be approved, so like I said, we vetted these estimates over the past year, taking out scope that we thought FEMA won't approve or anything like that. We've done that process to get to this point now, and that's why South Terrebonne's a little bit longer, because it's such a
Yes.
massive school, that a lot of the elements we've had to take out and verify and make sure that it's eligible, and making sure even if like a roof needs to be changed for the system just to meet code upgrades, we've run it by, FEMA won't give us a yes, but they will say, we're okay with that, but it's not an official answer. So we are comfortable moving forward where we are, knowing if we weren't comfortable, or we don't think that FEMA would
Correct.
reimburse this, we would not be at this point right now.
That's what I thought. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Mr. Lagarde.
Adam, who do you work for?
I work for All South Consulting and Engineers.
Now, you work for All South, and you are a FEMA guy with All South, right?
Correct.
All South is also doing engineering work as well?
They're not doing any engineering work for this district right now.
But they are doing some other work with them, right? In some of this project.
So we're
Are you
the,
on board with any other projects, All South?
for Terrebonne, no.
So you're the only person for All South that's working for the school district?
In this office, yes. So we have more people on our team that are reviewing. So we have engineers that help review what they're doing, looking at the FEMA side, but they're not designing anything or anything like
Still
that.
working. I didn't ask
Yes.
design, I say working. So they got you and All South is working.
Yes.
Okay, now I thought when we first did this project, HGI and the other guys would run the show, not all these other people.
So we were under
Did they
contract.
hire y'all?
No, we were under contract before the storm. We're only a FEMA grant side. We're not a construction management
I
side.
know, but I thought construction management was gonna handle all that for us. I was under the impression they would bring in their people, cause I remember when we interviewed all them groups, and all of them said that, look, we can do the FEMA part, cause if we paying you, and then I remember we had Mary Landrew, and we had some other people we was paying, and I'm trying to understand, cause I remember All South bid it on the job to be project management as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you was aware of it, y'all wanted to be project management, and now y'all working on it, and you're a critical part. So, the project managers, y'all don't report to them, then y'all
No.
report to us, so if they don't like y'all work, they can't terminate y'all.
Well, we were under contract before, at the time of the storm. Before the storm, and we were doing only
But
FEMA
now-
work. Yes.
Okay, just wanna make it clear.
Yep.
I don't understand how you got more work, but
Yeah.
that's all I wanna make clear.
Mr. DeHart?
Let's
Oh,
say
I'm sorry.
something. I'll wait
Okay,
till
okay.
after you.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
So All South is exclusively FEMA, and that's 100% covered by FEMA, not a 90-10, it's 100%. So that's a big difference, and they're not project managing at all. I mean, it's strictly what Adam does, which is vet, get all these things cleared and not approved, but okayed so that we can move forward. That's just the standard way that it's done. Till then, we've got to pay all this stuff up front anyway. Everything is reimbursement that we have, so we have to pay for all this. Everything is coming out of the money that we had to borrow to get all this done. So whatever gets reimbursed is on top of whatever we, have borrowed. So that's the process, and that's pretty much how it's gonna work.
But they're still getting paid, regardless where the money coming from. Who else did it on the project, they're still getting paid.
Yeah, they
As
are,
long as
they
we're
are,
paying it,
they are.
They're still getting paid.
They are getting paid,
And I
and,
just-
and we desperately need their support doing what they're
We
doing.
got other people as well, but they're getting paid.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying, they're getting paid.
Mr. DeHart?
Yeah, I'd just like to just make a couple positive comments. And it's gonna sound negative, but it's not meant to be negative. Adam, I do appreciate all what y'all doing and everybody that's doing. We're getting to a point, no matter what phase we do about how much money we have to spend to fix a particular school that we're talking about. We have to bring it back to what it used to be. Our students deserve that. And every hurricane we've ever had in the past years, we always had the means or the avenue to have the means to pay for it. So that's why I'm saying we're getting to a point where a little over 2 years after this hurricane hit us, the amount of damage was the most excessive that it's been in all the years I've been here. So no matter when it is, FEMA don't send you all the money up front. It takes years to get it. This school system even got money from other Katrina and stuff. I'm talking about not recently, but all I'm saying is way past Katrina. All I'm trying to say to you is that whatever the cost is, the longer we follow the procedure for FEMA, that's what Adam's controlling and guiding us through it. Our architects is doing what they have to do, just like if we didn't have project managers. All I'm saying, we're to a point where, not saying that you don't need this and you don't need that, but right now, we're trying to get it expedited, because guess what? The clock is ticking. And what that's gonna happen, it's gonna raise the price. Regardless of how much we get back, no matter how much it costs to restore it back like it was, my past experience with FEMA is that if you follow their rules, you're gonna get reimbursement, but it don't come quick. That's why we had to borrow money. We've had to borrow, sell bonds to do whatever we had to do. This board has an obligation to get things fixed back like they were as fast as we can to get kids on the educational track. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you, not because of any comments I heard before. It's just that right now, time is ticking, and the longer it takes, the more it's gonna cost. And that's just my opinion. I'm not an expert in this field, and all I'm saying to you is that we need to have the revenue source. I'm just saying, we have properties later, and I don't wanna get off track on that. We have maybe some property where we need to sell to get some more revenue. But those schools have to be fixed. So whatever means I have to do as a board member, I'm gonna work on doing whatever I can to get this thing done. And that's why I've been requesting all of these updates to where I can wrap my head around it, not because of past experience, it's where we're going from this day forward. So Adam, again, thank you, and Merlin, and everybody, thank y'all. But I'm just trying to clarify for some of us to say, hey, no matter what it costs, no matter what it does, I'm not giving you a blank check. All I'm saying to you is that we gotta fix these school whole like it was before this storm.
Thank you, Mr. DeHart.
Thank you, I'm sorry to be long-winded.
It's okay. Mr. Ogeron?
Yeah, just one thing I want to add is that the whole team, everybody involved, I think y'all have done such a good job at not inflating anything or padding anything. Everything has been in kind. Whatever was damaged, we replace it as is. And the beauty of that is when FEMA's having negotiations or talks with Adam and his team, they're not questioning a whole lot. They trust us at this point because we haven't done like other places have done. That's the kind of word we've gotten, where they're trying to upgrade everything. You can't do that. And once they realize you're not in that game, the trust is kind of, given to us, and that's where we're at. So what we're asking for is gonna more than likely be approved and granted. So that's the beauty of having a team put together working on this. Back and forth. And when I say it's a team, we said that. It's Adam to architects, to project managers, everybody involved. It's a team effort. They're making the ultimate call because they have the contacts with FEMA directly, but everybody's involved in that process. Just wanted to add that to this conversation.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
I'm gonna give you guys a little history lesson. Yes, All South did vie to try to be one of the project managers, but I think there was some divine intervention that took place where they didn't get that, because now they are a fiduciary between us and FEMA, and that's where we need you. That's the most critical part of this whole process. And to say that I'm thrilled about the project managers, no offense to you guys, I haven't really been thrilled. But I'm very thrilled that All South, and in particular Adam, is on these projects. So that's just me being as honest and as transparent as I can be. I also want to remind you guys that this particular building was up for that 50% rule. Remember? The community as a whole, everyone that I asked, over 60 people, did not want a new school. They wanted their school repaired
and rebuilt like it was. That's what the community wanted. That's what they're getting. So all this back and forth is null and void. The community wants exactly what they're getting. We're excited about it. It's time to move on and let it go.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Benoit?
Yeah, just another question for Adam. So you talked about just replacing what was bad, and that's what FEMA's going to do. Is those alternative figures that we talked about tonight, is that part of something?
That is not covered, which is why I think you were trying to ask where the numbers came from. That's why they're not adding up. Those extra ones are fully 100% in that owner upgrade cost.
Right,
So
so
that's-
we'll have to cover that?
Yes.
Not FEMA. Okay, I wanted clarity for
Yes.
that.
Most alternates that we are moving forward with when we do these are going to be a local cost, and it's easy to delineate the cost. That's why we do as an alternate from FEMA and not FEMA. So FEMA is not even having to look at those alternates. This is why we're doing that process.
Right, thank you for that. And I just want to comment on you and All South that I know has been for years dealing with FEMA, and I know the importance of having the expertise to do that, because just like Mr. Ogeron said, if they trust you and they've dealt with you before, they know what to expect, and they're likely to continue to support whatever numbers you give them as far as what we need as a reimbursement. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all your expertise, and I know that we need that.
And just to add, like, we've had $85 million already obligated to the district since the storm. It's not like we haven't had anything. We've had a lot of funding come through. It's just a time. You'll have 45 campuses, 200-something buildings. It's not a slow, it's not a fast process.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Hamner?
My question could be for Curtis. Curtis is the project manager. Y'all going to be responsible for the coordinating all the work, correct? And are you getting all the information for this project that you need to be able to do all that coordination?
Yes, sir. So we're not solely coordinating. We do work very close with the architect because it is their design. But we are working between the architect, the principals, and the administration of each individual school, as well as the contractor who has been awarded that bid. And we're communicating back to what I'm going to call TPSD's Hurricane Task Force. And, you know, as we've just outlined, the 4 distinct roles: your grant manager, your designer, your construction manager. We all have a distinct vital role that we play individually in this process. And trust me, I think, you know, they'll agree and laugh. We don't always agree. We are your owner representative, sometimes digging and fighting with All South to try to get a little more that he slaps our hand on and says that's not FEMA eligible. Because we're looking at this from a standpoint of what we'd like to give back to the schools and the community. And so we have to all fall within that, you know, guideline. And then we want to make sure that the contractor is staying within that guideline as well. So our coordination is in some areas unilaterally with the entire team.
Okay, Mr. Hardy?
Thank you. Sitting back and listening to comments, I think that, this is my opinion, like everybody else has their opinion. I think that both project managers and All South have done a great job. I think we got to look at the scope of the work. All South specialized in FEMA, one component, one single component. When you start talking about the project managers, it's a multitude of components. Their job, in my opinion, slightly a little harder than what just dealing with one component. So, and my biggest thing is that what I look at, you know, sure, it's fine and dandy to look at nice documents and papers. I look at the actual work. Is the work getting done? Or the work getting done that said getting done? That's how I judge progress. Although it's good to have these portfolios, which is nice and neat, but, you know, in my opinion, I think the work is getting done. We had bumps in the road. Yes, we have had bumps in the road. There were certain things that came up that wasn't expected. That's with any project of this magnitude. We never dealt with this before. We never dealt with this before. Hopefully, and praying God, we'll never deal with it again. I mean, I got gray hair. I think I'm grayer now. Yeah. I got more than you, Clyde. But on the real side, I just think that, you know, I'm going to applaud All South and both project managers. I mean, you're dealing with 9 people here, 10. You know, we all have different ideas, different views. The buyers wanted the schools to be open now, which we all wanted the schools to be open now. But it's a process, like you said. We can't rush you guys into doing things until we get the semi-approval okay from FEMA. They work together. You can't put the cart before the horse. The horse got to go before the cart. That's just the way it works. And the quicker we understand that, the better that we're going to be with this process. But we keep trying to put the cart before the horse, it's not going to work.
One final comment I'll make, that was a very good point. Thank you, sir. There's some complexity that we all have. I think we were talking about a schedule that's over 500 days for South Terrebonne. One of the things that we have to work with is at that facility, we have some rentals there, and those rentals are going to be up within a 3-year term that already started. So one of the things that we have had to work on, and we stood here last year when you guys were asking us to move and get the process going faster, is that, you know, we have a term limit on those rentals for school that's in operation right now. So we have to keep things coordinated and moving with the contractor side so that we don't have that money to spend in renewals, you know, from a lack on our side of not being active and productive and efficient now.
Do that over 2 years ago.
Okay, I think I asked already, but I'll ask again, any public comments, other public comments? I think every board member had something to say. Any other comments, board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for clarifying a lot of stuff.
All right, matter bearing upon update of Hurricane Ida response, Mr. Ryan Smith and Mr. Marco.
After that, I'm going to let Marco take it.
While we can't get that before.
Good evening. Marco Gonzalez, in case you haven't seen me up here in a while, sorry. So Ryan's done such a great job, but wanted to get an opportunity to get to talk to y'all and kind of give you a little bit more of a global view of some of the things that have been going on over the last almost 2 years now on our projects, and give you while in the same manner giving you an update. I gotta give credit where credit is due. There were some good questions y'all just asked. Fully expect that y'all have run out of questions now, so, but happy to answer whatever you've got. I also would like to, you know, Merlin just finished that's a big job. So, you know, commend him, but all the other architects. You know, question brought up what the architects know. They're not designing a new school, but it is not easy necessarily to go in and pick and choose what has to be done and what doesn't have to be done. That is tough work to do as well. So I got to commend all the architects that have been working on it. But, you know, he gets the lion's share of it today because that was a big project that got approved today. So congratulations to the school district for that, because that's a good day. Also, Mr. Harding, thank you for not saying easier job. I appreciate that. You almost slipped that one. I'm not going to say our job's necessarily any harder. I'm sorry? I can't do that in a public forum, sir, but that's okay. So I want to go over a couple things with y'all. This is, y'all have seen this before. That's kind of a calendar. I'm going to go over it in a lot more detail here. I don't expect y'all to read that. I don't have that handed out to y'all because the details, it hasn't really changed from what we've shown you before. The details is what I'm going to go over with you. But the big thing is, if you start looking at 2023, which is that line right there, if you take it straight down, you see a lot of green going off to the side of that. That's construction projects that are either underway or fixing to get started that are going to go into 2024. Anything that doesn't have green going past it, that means it's done by December of this year. So I think we're going to go a lot more detail into that in just a second, but I wanted to show it to you graphically so you could see. So there are several projects that will be going into 2024, but we do have several that are going to be finished. And like I said, we'll go through those here in a second. This kind of gives it to you, and I do believe you have this in your packets, but this kind of shows you projects that are completed, which are modular, Broadmoor Modular, and Southdown Elementary. We have a whole bunch there in that purple or blue that are projects under construction. We have projects out for bid, a couple of those. We'll go a little more detail on those. We have projects awaiting bid, Elysian Fields and Evergreen Interior, two of them. And the difference between out for bid and awaiting bid, they haven't been advertised yet for bidding yet. Project on hold right now is Ellender. We'll talk about that a little bit, but really essentially it's not so much on hold like nothing's being done on it. It has been submitted to FEMA by All South, and FEMA is under review of the project right now. So we're hoping here in the next couple of weeks, maybe they'll have some determination and some answers to get back to us on that. So very briefly, like I said, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail on that, but I want to kind of give you some big picture ideas of where we're at. So now this one, you do have a copy of, so I highly advise you to go. What we wanted to do is we always want to make sure that we give you as much information as we can. So this one project budget status, it looks just like that you've got. It's a real long piece of paper like this, so we didn't make it nice and small. So, you know, I'll take your glasses out, unless you're Mr. Ford. But it tells you the school, the architect, and we're going to go through some of the milestones that are coming up. And then you'll notice the last two columns, construction costs and architect costs. It's important that y'all as a board know where we are with cost on projects. And the construction cost, to tell you what those are, that is your cost that your contractors have come in on bids. So it is a true cost of construction. Some of them, like Acadian Elementary, for example, there are several numbers built into that just strictly because, have y'all found it?
Yeah, we
On your packet? Okay. Some of those, like Acadian, like you'll see 3.381 million. That's a couple of different projects all rolled into one because there was a roofing job, there's some interiors packages and stuff like that. And the architect cost is what the architect is, you know, with their design fee, which is, excuse me, typically straight off the facility plan.
Yeah.
Craig Hebert.
But look at the bid.
I know, I'm gonna get to that one.
All right.
I just see if you guys are paying attention. The reason Craig Hebert is not here today, because he's making $292 million on this project. He's in Tahiti buying an island. We just wanted to see if y'all were paying
He's back
attention,
there.
sir.
He's there.
Huh?
He's here? He just flew in on his private jet.
No, that was a typo. That was a typo. The fee on that one, really, if you look at the facility planning spreadsheet, I don't have the exact number because there is a actual Excel workbook. You can put the number in, it'll spit it out for you. But it's a fee of that when you have a project that size of 6.9664%. So it'd be somewhere around $2.5 million. It would be what the fee would be, and that's almost a 7% fee, and that's what facility planning worksheet gives you. So. But I'm glad y'all caught that. That means y'all paying attention. So as I go down, if you go right in the middle of the page, you see milestone dates. The first one being Acadian Elementary's April 27th of 2024. So, March. That is the date that we are expecting substantial completion on all the work at Acadian Elementary. So that is one of those projects that goes, like I showed you on the calendar earlier, that's going to extend into 2024. But if you go down, you'll see 11 of them that are shaded in a gray color. Coteau Valley Blue, East Homa, Legion Park Elementary, Village East, Elysian Fields, Berg Elementary, Caldwell Middle, Gibson School, and Southdown Elementary. The other two should be Modular and Broadmoor Modular. Those are complete already, so they should have been shaded in. Those 11 projects, by the end of this year, should be complete with a substantial completion. So that basically, it's looking by the end of this year, you should have 11 of these projects done. Now, keep in mind that some of those projects are multiple projects built into one. But So that's a good thing to see. There's another 8 that should be finished by about July of 2024. And you'll see those. Those are the ones that are not shaded in. Acadian Elementary, Honduras Elementary. It has a date of 10/18, I realize that, but that's the bid opening date. So some of these are just an upcoming milestone, but it will not, the project obviously will not be finished if we're taking bids on the 18th, which is tomorrow. We're still on for that, right, Ryan? Okay. Upper Little Caillou, next Thursday, that job will bid for the demolition package. So obviously, that job will not be completed by the end of the year, but it is a big milestone date for the demolition package. West Park, you got a substantial completion of January 4th, so it's just kind of barely bleeding into the new year. Then you get down to Evergreen Junior High. So Evergreen right now, it's a multi-part project right now. So we have the roofing component for Evergreen is already under construction, under contract. The next portion, which is the interiors, have a bid opening of November 14th of this year. So obviously, that project will go on into next summer to get completed. Mulberry Elementary, substantial completion looking at April 4th of next year. Andrew Price, substantial completion of March 31st. And Homa Junior High, substantial completion of May 30th. And if you, on mine, I don't know about y'all, you flip over, you have Terrebonne High School, substantial completion of May 30th as well. So several projects that are going bleeding into the new year. We are anticipating that pretty much all of them will be bid out at that point, and we'll just be worrying about construction, other than possibly Upper Little Caillou, which will still be under design for the interiors package. And then Ellender, which we are awaiting still, like I said a little earlier, FEMA approval. I think it was Mr. Ford, you were asking about construction costs a little earlier. You'll see a number there for Ellender. That is a number that was put together before in one of our estimates. Construction costs, I can tell y'all, as we do a lot of work throughout several different states where we're seeing, we got several programs that are bidding a lot of work right now. Nothing is coming in the $200 to $300 range. We got a lot of things, $350. I mean, a lot of them we're budgeting $450 right now for school programs. So I'm not saying that to be scary. I'm not, but it's a very realistic deal that we're dealing with. So when you're looking at a project, I think they talked about, Merlin, I think you might have said about $420 a foot or so. That's a very realistic number right now and what we're seeing out in the market. So obviously, our job is to make sure that we get it in as tight and we it's bid out properly, and it's good that you have multiple bidders like y'all had today to make sure you get the right, the right pricing and stuff. But it is very real, Mr. Ford, that we're seeing some pricing like that in the market. So I kind of went through things very quickly and I wanted to give you a general overview, but the big picture things are, I wanted you to see a certain number of projects that are going to all be done by the end of this year, because I know that when y'all are around in your communities, it's very important to know. And like I said, there's 11 of them on here, and we shaded them, so make it a little easier for y'all to take a look at. And a whole bunch of them, other than, say, Ellender and Upper Little Caillou, that should be done by July of next year. So when you start school for the next school year, the remainder of those projects should be done. And then I wanted y'all also to get a good feel for the construction costs and architect costs. The ones that are shaded on those are the ones that we don't necessarily have bid out all the components of it yet. So I can't tell you what the actual construction dollars are, so they're still based off of estimates. But the others are, Ryan updated all of those to have construction dollars put in there. So y'all, it's important for y'all to see how many dollars, you're out there spending. So say the work going on at Acadian Elementary, if you look at construction and architecture costs, that's $3.7 million in total. So you get kind of a view. I didn't give you a total column on there, but it gives you a view of how many projects we have on there, and it's quite a few dollars that are out there. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we can go into a lot more detail on anything here that you'd like to look at.
Okay, Mr. Ford?
Just as a general rule of thumb, I see that there's a big variance with regards to the architect costs versus the
Construction costs, it's anywhere from 8.5% to like 31%. What should we anticipate?
It depends on the size project. They're higher for some of these jobs are small. They're under $1 million. They're several hundred thousand. That's your highest fee percentage that you get.
The Southdown one
on
in
there.
particular
Southdown
was like 31%.
Yes, sir. Anything that's really between 20 million and $50 million, according to the 2021 facility design fee chart, is 6.9664%.
Okay.
So that's why I was saying it's roughly about 2.5 million, not 242.
So it is a set schedule for, with regards to the architect fees versus the construction?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There is. Now, some of these projects, what you have in facility plan, they allow you to have a percent to 1.5% higher because it's a renovation factor.
Okay.
Because as you go into schools, there's a complexity that deals with those kind of things, and so they are allowed to have that. There is a calculator, an Excel-based calculator that the state offers that Ryan has a copy of. You just put the number of construction dollars in and whether they get that factor, and it spits out for you what your fee is to. That's why a lot of these you see to the penny.
Okay.
So.
I was gonna say real quick, just because, given especially getting your shirt from the previous conversations we've had, did you like this? It's a logarithmic function.
Yes.
That will be based on.
Yeah, so how do we get those prices negotiated down? Is there something we can do about that, or is that just, so if it's state regulated, right, that's what you're saying?
And that is what your contracts with architects, that's what the fee is based off of on there.
So state or federal?
It's facility planning with the state of Louisiana that sets those. And that is the guideline for all public projects, basically in the state of Louisiana. Yes, sir. Yep. I can share with you a very simple chart that shows you from X dollar to $1 million, $1 million to 5, 5 to 10, whatever, what the percentage is. And I'll give you a rough idea of what they are.
Mr. Lagarde?
Yes, sir. Good, sir.
Quick question, I don't remember. What's project management fee? Is it in the construction cost or in the architecture cost? Where would that fee at? How we paying y'all?
It's in neither, sir. It is, we get paid a percentage, we get paid based on rates. So we have a rate sheet that, for our project managers are paid at $185 an hour. Administrative personnel is $75 an hour and stuff, and it is rates. And so every month, Becky can tell you, it's a long and arduous process that we go through that, that we submit in all our hours, and every hour is charged to a particular job, and then it's a sum total of those hours at the end of the month times that rate, and that's what we get paid. And it goes up to a certain percentage. FEMA allows you to go up to a certain percentage of the value of the project. And on our contract, it's up to 4% of what that dollar amount is. And so we've got it all spread out through all the different projects. So it's not like one lump number that gets a general Terrebonne Parish like code. It's coded to every single one of our 20-something projects.
So Becky can tell me how much we done paid y'all up to date?
Yes, sir.
So if you look back at L under 34 million, what is that based on per square foot?
You want to go over that?
Just
Oh, it's
basic.
not necessarily per square foot, it's based off of it. This was the one off the estimate, damage estimate, right? So it's a damage estimate. So a damage estimate, just like all the others, just like Marlon was kind of explaining to you and what Adam was explaining to you, they go in and they check all the damage and they have individual line items for every piece of damage that's in there. And it's tied back to a means data source which is a universally accepted data source for costs. So it'll have numbers and stuff for this certain type of floor, it's certain number of, per square foot, and it's, the architect has gone around and checked how many square feet of a certain floor there is to do, and he calculates it out. So these estimates are, for Ellender, for example, Craig Aber spent a long time on this one because it was very extensive. It's an entire school. It's a big one. I imagine South Terrebonne's was very similar because of the size of the school, 170-something thousand square feet. So, and it's pretty complex. Now, all of that is now in. It's been modified a few times, just updated, making sure things. So Adam and his crew have been looking at that, and now it's into FEMA's hands. It was mentioned a little earlier, that one's over 50%. It's in FEMA's hands right now to confirm that is the situation.
Okay.
So we're all anxiously awaiting that response.
That number shows how much more damage was at Ellender, probably Merlin's 22 to Craig's
34, exactly. Okay. Mr. Lagarde again. I'm sorry if you wasn't
Can
finished.
Becky come up and we could find out how much project management's been paid?
I have the number for this year if you need that.
This year.
Yeah, he may have it right there.
Mr. Lagarde, so I I can give you what we paid this past fiscal year. What I can't give you is what we've paid in total since the beginning, but I can get that for you. Okay, I can get that, I can get both of those numbers for you. Yes, sir.
It wouldn't be in this book? Becky? It wouldn't be in this book?
That what you get each month is only what's been paid on a monthly basis, so you would have to go back through 2 years' worth of those and add up
Yeah.
each time that we issued a check to each of the project managers.
Mr. Hamner, you used to teach math. Won't you do that for us real quick?
I don't want to know that bad.
Right. Any other board member? I'm sorry, Mr. Ford.
So All South being a fiduciary for us with FEMA, we get reimbursed for what we pay to them. But do we get reimbursed for what we pay at any percentage to the project managers? I'm pretty sure we talked about that. It's 90-10. Okay, so we're getting reimbursed for 90% of what we pay to you guys.
Yes, sir.
So, all being fair, it pays to maximize what these projects end up being, because we're only paying 10% of the overall cost, and we're only paying 10% of your, essentially, you guys' salary for this, or contract. So, the better schools we get, we're still coming out ahead because we're only paying that 10%. I think that keeps getting overlooked. It's, you know.
We have to just be on guard before the 10% is not, you know. Too huge.
Inflated or, yeah.
Inflated, where
Yeah.
it could be a few
Yeah.
$100,000 per site, which ends up to a million.
Just
And
mind
our
your P's and
contract
Q's.
is specific where it's capped at 4% of the projects
Exactly,
and
that's
stuff
what
like
I'm
that.
saying,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
But Mr. Marco, didn't you tell me you're giving us 10% off?
You and
Thought I'd
Mr.
throw
Harding
that
are
in
drinking the
there.
same Kool-Aid today.
Wait, I know I have that coupon around here somewhere.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I got you, Mr.
Any other board members?
Let me also say too, I hope we're giving you information. I think it's important that y'all have the cost information. We always talk about schedule, we talk about all the little nitty-gritty of what's going on in the project. It's important that y'all know and you take a look at it, because we're talking about a bunch of different projects, and it's good for you to take a look at what these are. I mean, you got a project at Caldwell Middle at $115,150. Doesn't seem like a lot. It just goes to show it probably didn't have that much damage of things it had. Doesn't mean it didn't have its other issues, but, what we've been working with All South and all the architects about is very strict about what you can and cannot replace in there. And then you have you get in some of these modulars and say Acadian's at 3.3 million, you got Evergreen at 2.4, almost 2.5 million. So they're very real dollars that are being spent, and so it's a lot of coordinated effort going on, and then all this stuff going back. Once the FEMA worksheet numbers come in, we will put that in these columns, so we have something to tie back to of what we're at. So before, we were dealing with budgets that were based off of estimates. Some of them we still are because they haven't been bid out completely. Now we're working off of and based off of construction dollars. An architect's fee is based off the construction dollars. It's a percentage of those dollars. That's how it's set up. So then you're able to see two of your larger costs on there outside of the manager's fee. We do not have that in there, Mr. Lagarde. I don't know if I answered that question for you. It is not in these. That is a separate item that is kind of kept separately, I believe, by Becky and her folks in another pile. She is collecting it, though. I can assure you of that. Any other questions?
Anyone else?
And if y'all want any other kind of information, we're happy to provide it in the future. We want to give you as much as you can, but I also don't want to sit up here for the next, 30 minutes and bore y'all to death with every little detail, so.
We appreciate it, Mr. Marco.
And Dr. Trahan, I look forward to coming and telling you about that bid at Upper Little Caillou very soon.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Thank you. I hope y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
You too. Number 7, matter bearing upon maintenance update, Number 6, matter bearing upon Hurricane Ida response, Mr. Curtis Lee. Oh, you were finished? Right, okay, I had looked up and you were going. Sorry.
Good evening again.
this one? Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
I got this one.
I think Marco did a great job with explaining how those billable rates work. And the only thing that I wanted to add, if you will, is that really our pay, I'd like to look at it as being based off of production. We truly, have billable hours based off of what we produce, which is what he said, which is capped at that 4%. And I only want to add that because it sounds like we have the same contract. So ours is a 4% cap based off of that production per school as well. Tonight, I'm going to go over this document, which you guys have in your package. I broke it up a little bit differently for this month, just to kind of categorize them by elementary school, middle school, high school, what I'm going to call specialty or skill school, administration, and the ones that are on hold. So you'll see that in your far left column. And I did that with the intent that that might be easier for each individual district member to be able to easily identify the schools in your district for your constituents and their questions that they may have. We are reporting 2 schools that are completed. We talked earlier this summer about Grand Caillou Middle, which we got a substantial completion on. And the second one that we've had a substantial completion on is Bayou Black Elementary. Those details there on the specific schools is in your packet, but I am going to talk about some things we're excited to bring to your attention. The next category is active construction, and there are 9 schools in that category, but I want to explain and drill down a little bit more on those particular schools. So I gave you the percentages of completion, and as you can see with Broadmoor Elementary, it's at 95%, so that will be the next one we expect to come to you guys with for the completion of the work there. And then, we're kind of going down in category between the remaining schools that are actively having percentages of work and stored material on site. The ones that have the zeros by them, which are the administrative building, that has been a low priority over obviously education and getting the schools back. But those schools with the zeros are actively awarded, and they are packaged with a bid and a contractor awarded to that work. So that work will be following very shortly. The next construction is in the category of either we are scheduling a pre-construction meeting or we have scheduled a pre-construction meeting, and we provided those dates. So we're happy to bring Oaklawn Middle School into construction now, as well as Shreveport. Notice to proceeds are also listed there, and some of those we were issued today. We had been waiting on permits. So that contract for Lisa Park in Oakshire had been awarded for a while, but we're waiting on the permitting office to do their review and get everything back to our contractors so that the architects and ourselves could coordinate with the principals of those schools. And both those schools are scheduled for this Thursday at 9 o'clock. And then last but not least on the page for scheduled and anticipated bid openings, of course, we talked today about South Terrebonne High School, and Merlin went into a lot of details with that. At the high school, we've done the athletics facility. We have the new spectator gym, which has some extensive work, and that is going really well. And let me be the first to say, the coordination with these contractors and the work that's being taken place, specifically at South Terrebonne High, H.L. Bourgeois, and some other schools alike, we can't say enough about the work that we're seeing, the quality of the subcontractors that's there, and as he spoke about the level of communication and coordination with that particular general contractor really helps it with the level of complexity and the amount of work that we have at South Terrebonne High. We have finished the 100% construction drawings for the Fletcher facility, and that is in the review process between your grants manager and ourselves to do that quality check that we spent so much time talking about tonight, to make sure that everything in that design is FEMA eligible for reimbursement. And we anticipate for that to be finished at the end of this month, so that if there's no changes that need to be made, it'll go forward for public bid in that process, so that we can get those schools awarded. And we hope to try to do that before the end of this calendar year. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you guys, because I know I spoke earlier a lot on some of this. The schedule is there. That schedule is the same schedule that was provided last month. And it does not have a lot of movement in it, but it will have some significant movement in it between now and the next board meeting, due to the fact that we have notice to proceeds, and we have some bid openings that we've already discussed between this week and last week, that we'll be getting the contractor schedule in, and then we'll add that schedule to update what we have for specific start and finish dates. I welcome any questions.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Lagarde?
Okay, your pre-construction meeting for Oaklawn in the morning, what exactly that entails?
So that's going to be on Thursday. I apologize if that's any confusion. So on the pre-construction meeting, we will, as project managers, architects, as well as the general contractor, we will meet with the principal of each school. And what is typical is we find out where the needs and where the critical paths are of the school, so that we can see what rooms are available if we have to work around instruction that's taking place. And we create what we call a swing space. So the principals may tell us, hey, you can have this corridor, or you can have this wing at this particular time, so that it doesn't impact what they're doing. And we'll build a schedule around working in those areas that's accessible to us. And of course, a lot of times the work that we have to do, which is a good example, this past weekend was the third weekend that I've worked. We took some advantage of some things at Montague Middle while they were on the fall break, because we had to do some overhead work and some electrical work that we couldn't do while the children were in the classrooms. So we used that 4 or 5 day period, working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, to coordinate those things. So we look at the complexity between what the class and the principals need and what the construction schedule needs, to try to coordinate where we'll be at any given time in those schedules with the least impact.
So y'all have a basic, I guess, design of knowing what y'all gonna do, or y'all coming up with that when y'all go to the meeting? Do y'all have an idea generally, what, I know we doing floors and roofs, y'all know that already?
We do. We have a basic design. A lot of that is on the general contractor, and we're using our expertise as construction managers. A lot of us have been superintendents, and we started up, wearing our tools before we got to this level. I myself have been a general contractor in my past, and I'll tell you, when you build a new building, you build it from the ground up. When you're repairing a storm damaged building, you do it from the top down, because you have to enclose the roof and make sure that the exterior walls are completely sealed before you can do any interior work. So we look at what we have to do from that standpoint, and that's why it's critical to make sure we're not doing anything at the risk of the children while we're doing the overhead work, or that we're not doing any exterior roofing that could be very noisy, that could distract them while they're in class.
Who the contractor, who the contractor?
So we do know who the apparent low bidder is for the ones we have for today, but we have some things we have to vet. Were you referring to?
We haven't awarded the contract to a contractor yet?
In reference to the schools that we have the pre-construction? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we have.
Who's the contractor?
I do, and I can get that. That's not in this document, but I do have it in a different file on my laptop that I can get to you right after the meeting. I know that's a specific interest to you in your district. Oaklawn, just to add, and the reason I say that, Oaklawn is split. There's an exterior package that is awarded to one person for roofing and for some exterior work, and then there's an interior package that we're working on. So there's gonna be 2 different contracts and 2 different contractors on that particular school, and I'll provide that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members? No? I guess that's it. Thank you, Mr. Curtis.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
See if I can find my agenda. Okay, now, number 7, Mr. Poisson? I'm all over the place. Here it is.
Well, that was all good news. Things are happening. That's what we like to see around here. I want to see some smiles. I got some updates for y'all also to make y'all smile. Y'all have these in front of y'all?
Oh, that one?
All right, at Acadian, we had the security fencing. It's in progress. It's to be finalized once a new modular classroom is in place. That meaning we just didn't put up the piece that has to connect to the modular. Once it's in place, we'll connect it, and that'll be complete. The portables over there, all of them are removed. It's complete. We had tree removal in the front that was damaging the front of the school sidewalks, those cypress trees. They were just knees coming up everywhere, people tripping on them. It was a hazard. All that's removed, and we're going to redo the front of the school right there in the yard, make it look good. Gutters, we had the gutters all cleaned out. That's all done there. At Broadmoor, we got security fencing. It's in progress. It's 99% complete. The HVAC over there is in progress. It's progressing on as scheduled, expected to be substantially completed February 15th. The Dakeville site, the sale of property. That's in progress. It was declared surplus. Appraisal is ongoing and will be advertised for sale to the highest bidder. Dularge, the HVAC, ESSER funds. The status of that is in progress. It's progressing on as scheduled, expected to be completed February 15th. Ellender Memorial, the baseball field, it's in progress also. The backstop netting is on order. It'll be installed as soon as it comes in. Shouldn't be too long coming in on that. Also at the baseball field, we built a new outfield wall, metal wall on the outside of that. It's all blue metal fencing, replaced the chain link. Looks good. Temporary tarps. Looks like a haunted house over there. We started today cutting all that off. We sent the guys there. They got a lift. They're going to cut it off to, you'll still see the old building, but you won't see all that old tarp hanging off of it. And it'll dress it up some just to give it a little boost. The softball field, it's in planning stage right now. It's assigned to an architect. We're going to build a softball field for Ellender to play out there on their fields. On the Votex, yeah. Elysian Fields, the security fencing is 99% complete. The HVAC, another ESSA project, is progressing on as scheduled, expected to be completed June 28th of '24. Homer Junior High. It's in progress there. It's in the planning stages. We're going to try to repaint all the interior walls. You know, we got the hurricane projects going on there that'll paint one wall. There again, it's just a FEMA thing. They'll fix one wall, but you can't fix the other wall. So we're going to paint everything else.
Mr. Sport, can I,
Yeah.
flaking, and it's a rough color and all that, so that's gonna be a pretty significant upgrade to it.
And the next one's gonna help it a lot also, once it's painted. We're gonna change the interior lighting, in there also. It's not hurricane damaged, but you're gonna walk into a dull school after it's painted, we're gonna make it look good. Montague Middle, there's sloping ground around, if y'all familiar with it, it's built off the ground. And all that sloping mud, when it rains, goes down to the sidewalks. Kids are slipping on them. We have to come up with a plan for that. We're looking at some type of what I want to say, either some kind of vegetation or some kind of matting, something that'll hold to the ground where the mud won't keep washing away. I mean,
And it's gonna look good too, it looks really.
Yeah.
bad
Or a
the way it
combination
is
of
now,
both.
So it's gonna look good as well. But, and it's eroding, I mean, that's foundational salt, so you gotta protect that. Just give Legion, just go back to Legion, just give a one up,
I skipped Legion.
yeah.
On the windows over there, it's progressing, it's on schedule. I think the windows are supposed to be in at the end of the month, be complete by February 14th. Same with the HVAC. A lot of that is installed already. They still have some electrical to run to them and some piping, but that should be through also by February 14th.
Heart-shaped windows?
At Mulberry, the portables over there, this is all in progress. They were all sold at auction, and the removal has started. They're up on blocks. We're looking forward to getting rid of all that, and we can utilize the yard on the side of it. This crossing guard was added at the corners where students are crossing 2 weeks ago.
Sorry about that. I'll be punished.
Okay, Oaklawn, the security fencing in progress is 99% complete, with the exception of a couple of gates that we have to install so they can store their band trailer and everything in there. And the grass cutters have something they complained about them not being able to get in, but with this big gate for the trailers, they'll be able to get in. The windows, it's in progress also. Pre-construction meeting was held October 9th, and the HVAC is progressing on as scheduled. Expected completion June 28th. South Terrebonne softball field, it's in the planning stages also. It was assigned to an architect. Terrebonne High, the softball field, it's behind Homer Junior High. Dugouts, the fencing, backstops complete. Phase 2 is to an architect. It's going to be for the infield fill on that. And the scoreboard is ordered, and planning stage for concession stand, press box, and bleachers will come at a later date. And renovation, extensive building and site renovations will be presented to y'all by an architect in December.
I have a couple of questions. The backstop netting at Ellender, did they go with a darker color? Because I know that's been an issue in the past. You want to go with a darker color because you want to be able to see from the stands, and when it's a lighter color, or white or whatever, it's hard for the audience and the people in the spectator section.
I'm pretty sure it's black.
It's a black, yeah. It's
That's what I want to make sure, because Blue Jaw was having the same concern. The bridge going to the softball field at Ellender,
will we establish if we're gonna do that? And is our maintenance department gonna do that, or are we gonna have to hire them?
Part of the project.
Okay. And the last question, or not, I have two, but the fencing at Oaklawn, the security fencing, if I understand correctly, they were moving it to the side where the buses go in, so there's no obstruction for the buses, they can
Yes, sir.
access the circle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this fencing that we're talking about right here, that's being done right now.
It's practically done.
Okay, so we don't have to go back.
Few more
and re-
gates, right, yes, sir.
And then the last is, and this is probably for, Mr. Ogeron, the band, from what I understand, I've gotten a couple of calls about, as soon as the softball field is done at at Terrebonne, then the football team has to start using the area behind the stadium to practice, which means the band won't have that area to practice.
So, yeah, we can set them up behind softball, there's still a lot of real estate
So they
back
can
there
get
to
behind the
line out a
softball
football field or a band field, one of the two, there's still a lot of property. You got a
That's been-
full, a couple of 100-yard field back there.
There's been some
So we'll have
contingency
some-
that's wrong.
We'll have some space to do all that. yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
But we'll have to communicate that, yes.
Mr. Hamner?
Hey, Sammy, how's it going, man?
Good.
Good report here. Could you maybe add another column next time you have one like this that has the vendor or the company that's actually doing the work there?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Anyone else?
I'm very pleased at this format too. That would be
Yeah.
beneficial for us. I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought this now, so let's keep it up.
Mr. Dehart?
One question for you, at the Ellender softball field, because of the location over there, where's the nearest bathroom? Are they gonna look at that? Or are they gonna put, you know,
Short answer, we'll look at it, we'll put portlets like we've done in the past. But the issue is, all of our baseball, softball fields are in that same situation. There's a long walk from H.L. Bourgeois softball, I mean, it's all.
Correct.
So.
That's why I'm asking.
We've gotta kinda look at all of them, just kinda maybe in time, consider that, I think we'll get to that point. Ms. Ford was asking about the same, but if we could do something like that ourselves, we could frame it up and put the plumbing up, I don't know the answer to that, we hadn't gotten to that point just yet.
just a comment, and I'm just trying to be positive with a comment, is that no matter what, a lot of these booster clubs is raising money to pay for them dumpsters. You know, for portlets.
Portlets,
I didn't mean dumpsters,
Yeah,
I meant
yeah,
to say
yeah,
portlets.
yeah.
To me, we gotta get a plan to fix that eventually,
Yeah, yes, sir.
because of the
Okay.
distance. And all I'm saying is that if you ever have somebody handicapped that's at a field, and you gotta go a mile to get to a bathroom,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just trying to be realistic.
Like at Disney, huh?
Well, most of the time you go to anything, there's a bathroom in a reasonable amount of distance. So we gotta work on that. I just hope y'all come up with some kind of plan. I don't know what the answer is, but something. Thank you.
Mr. Sam, are you going over the maintenance, or no?
It's basically the same
Same
thing
thing.
that we said in here. It's,
Okay, so I do have a question, though. About a month ago, I contacted you, and I haven't heard back. The broken gate at Berg Elementary?
I had somebody contact you back.
Nobody contacted me on that, so it's a.
You didn't get contacted
No,
back?
sir.
It's fixed.
So it's been fixed?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate it, okay. Anyone else have a question for Mr. Sam? Okay, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Entertain a motion to adjourn? So moved.
So moved.
Second, myself, public comments?
No, sir.
None. Myself, any board members? Any objections? BFT is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Ms.